Happy Sunday, guys. I'm your girl, Amanda Miller with 105.7 The Phase. It is Sunday, 7 o'clock, and it is time to talk unapologetically real with your girl, Amanda Miller and Southern Maid. So, give me a second. I am going to go ahead and bring her on. If this is going to be your first time joining us, make sure you download the mobile app from your app store. It will stay 105.7 The Phase. Make sure you're following our platform, social medias. Hey, Southern.
Hey.
Right, all as the folks say, all
Um,
right.
um,
Whether that's again, all the social media platforms, definitely iHeartRadio. Go to our archives and listen to the shows that we have. Hey, Nicole, 7478. Hey, girl. So be patient with us while we allow people to just trickle on and join this segment. Sometimes it takes folks a little longer than others to get the message that we're live.
everybody's punctual.
Right. Cause Keisha come on talking about so my mate, and you be like, Keisha, girl, we're about to get ready to go
Right.
off. Right.
It'd be 2 minutes left. Keisha be like, I'm here, Keisha.
Right.
We started talking 15 minutes ago, my girl.
So yeah, but today, really because I know we missed 2 Sundays and double back to um, that segment, right? So what I am gonna do is just really let you lead this. I know, Kim, we miss you too. Yeah, so thank you for rejoining us back because we definitely have missed you as well. You and some of the others keep these conversations live and rolling, honey. So yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'm gonna let you to pretty much lead this today, and I'll just follow your suit and go from there.
Okay. So the topic for today, if you guys didn't see the post, is about child support, visitation. Was this child support, visitation, custody? Child support,
Yeah,
visitation, and
yeah,
custody. I was like,
yeah.
those three: child support, visitation, and custody. And we're talking about some hot opinions on all. Apparently.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna start with the custody one. So recently, there's a story going around that this woman took her kids to her child's father. The rights gave him the custody of the kids. She pays the child support. She has visitation with the kids, but he is the man that takes care of the kids. And social media is talking about that. But a mama, that was grimy. That's wrong. Why are you making this? You need to be a mom. And maybe this is a hot topic. This is a hot opinion. I don't know. It shouldn't be, but a parent is a parent is a parent is a parent. What you mean that it's wrong for that mom to, my opinion, how you mean it's wrong for the mama to take her children to their father and say, hey, I can't do this. You got it. Like, why is that wrong? Why is it wrong when the mom wants to do it, but when a dad does it, we have nothing to say? When a dad just don't show up, or he just be like, I can't handle it right now. My favorite that I heard recently. I need a break to get my stuff together. Why is it that's not? No one blinks an eye at that. But if a mom says, "Hey, I need some time," we have all the judgment on her. She's a horrible mom. She shouldn't have had the kids. She can't take care of the kids. Why is it? What's sexism? Are they boys or girls? I think it's one of each. I think I remember reading the story where.
Yeah, I'm on kind of, are they boys or girls? So Kim are asking, are they boys or girls?
I think it's one of each. I think I read the story right, that it's one of each. But How y'all
I'm
feeling?
trying to tag. So you could just keep going. I'm just tagging, see if we can get
I
the
put the
audience
question to the
active.
like, what do y'all think is the reason that that's a thing? Because I know, like I said, for me, as long as the children are being taken care of by a parent, by a who's willing to be there, loving them, supporting them, taking care of them, why is it a bad situation? Because when boys get a certain age, sometimes boys need to be with their fathers more. Okay, I can see that. I can see need to be with that gender a little bit more. But why is that a bad thing if the dad wants to be a full-time dad or a single dad and then is a person why is that frowned upon? I mean, we got
Yeah.
people
I also think that we have to look at what kind of father is that individual. How were they when they were in the house? If they ever were in the house, if they weren't in the house, what are those characteristic traits that that father has in order for them to really make a good impact in the child's life? Because
but do you
go ahead.
understand, like, why isn't that conversation made with the mother? Why is it that the mother is the automatic default? And if the mother is saying, hey, I know I can't do this right now, you have custody right now, take care of our children. But what if the father's just a better parent in general? Why is it that the mother is the default, and when she's not, then she's judged? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, but it is a societal thing for the way that we live in and the world that we live in. It is as they say, um, mama's baby, daddy's maybe. So that it's that kind of mindset. Is it right? Probably not. Um, most moms are by nature just reactive to what motherhood looks like, or what motherhood feels like, and know how to navigate in that space where men are always learning. And we learn too, but for us, pretty much, we're instant in that area, but we do a little bit better than they would do. Yeah.
Do you think so? Because I've had some love my people. I've had some friends of mine, some people that I know that maybe shouldn't have been mothers.
I agree. I mean, I agree, and I just think that's
And dad was a
the
lot more.
majority of the time that's the case, but I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And dad was a little bit more stable, and I kind of felt like, well, maybe daddy should be the one having these kids on day to day, because the mom just wasn't that motherly instinct that again people do attribute to women a lot. Sometimes not all women have that. Because I know even for me, when I had my daughter, that like overwhelming like wash of love didn't come over me at all. Like it took like a week or two for me to like I loved her, don't get me wrong, but like that like overwhelming, that like like oh, like it happened, but it just didn't come when I had her, like not right in the beginning.
Yeah. So, what does that look like, guys, for your thoughts on? Okay, so the father, I guess my thing is, yes, the mom may not be able to be in a good place to take on all of that responsibility. And you would think that it would be default dad. Um, but what does that look like if he's not in that situation either, though?
But that's what I'm saying. Because in the post, dad didn't have an issue with it. People were attacking mom for taking them to dad. And it's just, to me, that's insane. Like, why are you attacking someone? Because clearly they've had that conversation. Clearly they sat down and said, hey, I think you should have be the person with the custody. They're the one they're the people who've gone through the court system. They've had the time at this point to talk all this out. They get it. Why is it that she was talked so down? That's my question. Why is it that she was talked so down on by saying, I know I'm not in the place? To have that self-actualization that we talk about so much. She had that self-actualization. She said, I can't do this. I'm not good at this. I'm not good. I mean, I need you to take custody for now so I can get myself right and get in a better situation to support me and these children. Why is it that she got flagged for that, but let a dude do that? Oh, he's being a man. He's getting his bag and make sure he can do for his kids, and that's admirable. But when a woman does it, she ain't shit.
Yeah, and again, you're right. The judgmental part of it is, I think, definitely the instinct of people thinking a mom just should have herself together in a place where she should be able to take care of her kids. But I think people tend to forget that mentally, um, you have to be in a place where you can be a good example for those kids and do what's needed to ensure that they are in a healthy, safe environment, physical environment. But I also think that at some point, if we've done it, well, not at all, most of us have had this lapse in judgment of when is it time to really say, okay, should I not move on with having another child? So we say one. Um, Maybe it's a factor where we're just so in love and we're thinking this, that, and the third, or maybe you're married or what that looks like. But I think at some point people look at, okay, so if you weren't ready, then why? Because I know someone with this situation where she has, I think, 4 or 5 kids, and I'm like, but you never was mentally ready to even have these kids. So why did you even put yourself in that situation and bring kids into a world where you were never um, mentally fixed to even as much as take care of these kids? And I think we have to really do an evaluation on us as decision makers for the decision we make, and then how do we navigate through that for what that looks like future forward.
Mm-hmm. I also think that I think it's getting to me because society has no issue seeing a woman struggle, but if a man was about to do that, but the thought of a man doing the same thing is just preposterous.
Yeah, I know Kim was saying the guy she dates had custody of his daughter at a younger age, and then now she had issues back with her mom. The only thing she was saying she didn't like was that he was paying child support during that time.
Which I think is
Which I think, yeah, I was gonna say, now that's crazy.
He should have went back to the court and been like, if she's with me all the time, that makes no sense.
Right. So, like a situation like that, and that's what I was saying about what is the situation. I think each situation is different because Kim was saying that her dude is more so stable, and so I see that if so, like a person like a Moan, um, or Quaverlin, or I know 2 guys like I mentioned on the last segment on our jobs. They're awesome fathers, and I think if it ever came down to it, that they would be open arms to receive and take care of their kids. But some men, where they would love to take that on, they yeah, they're just not in a stable enough place to understand and mindset what that looks like. And because mom isn't, I don't know if necessarily depending on what's going on with dad, that he is the next best thing.
But here's my
Depending
thing,
on what
and
he has going
that's why
on.
I'm gonna get this little caveat. We're not talking about their position specifically. We're talking about, and I know for me, I'm talking about what that lands like why is it that, like I said, it's why is it that women are the default? Why is it that a woman is a default, and when she knows she can't handle it, is she then judged? For me, I feel like it's the same thing as when men talk about, oh, we can't be in our, we can't have our emotions because when we say our emotions, we feel attacked. This woman came up and said her emotions that I can't handle this, but then she got attacked for it.
And I go back to say, I think it's a society thing of being double standard. That's just like, I'm going to give a prime example. And there's a lot of things in this world that's just a double standard, or either how we judge people. And I'm sure you guys have heard this saying. A lot of parents have always said it, and it's really true. Man can run up the street butt naked and no clothes on, and everybody's gonna laugh and say that nigga crazy.
Yes.
Let the woman do it, and they're gonna say she crazy, but they're gonna talk bad about her, call her hoes, and all
Type
kinds
of
of
hope,
stuff.
right?
So it's those type of situations, unfortunately, that in this world is just the way that things are set up, and it's the tag of what that looks like.
And speaking of setup, I love how you said that because that sets me up for our next point and how I kind of want to move into it. We talk about, especially here in the Black community, hell, any person that has to pay it, child support, right? We talk about child support, we talk about visitation, we talk about, oh, well, the court system is rigged and all this type of stuff. I want to pose the question, especially for the men who said the court system is rigged. Are you sure that the court system is rigged, or are you not understanding that the system was made to work this way? And if you're mad at the way that it's made, maybe you should take a look at the fact that for the vast majority of the night of since 1776, the United States has been the United States till now, most men have been the one in power shaping these laws and shaping these issues. So maybe, just maybe, y'all are to blame for women being the default and women always getting money and the system always taking care of the kids when the man can't do it, and the man having such a hard time getting custody of child. Maybe, just maybe, y'all are the problem. But or is that too real of a topic to talk about?
What's y'all thoughts out there, people? What are the thoughts? What do y'all got? What are y'all thinking about?
Because this just happened today, y'all. I saw my children's father today and told him an amount of money that I thought was, fair for raising 3 of his children, primarily on my own. He said that he did not know if he'll be able to give me that. I said, I need some type of consistency because this is a house that runs on a budget. And I need to know what's going on. I said, do I need to depend on you, or do I need to reach out to child support and let them do it? So I'm just, his words, Grandma. So I'm just fucked either way. So I'm just not gonna get my money either way. And then his girlfriend steps in and asks me for a certain amount of time for them to get it together. And I'm like, one, these are not your children. And she has children of her own. I, as a mother, don't feel comfortable taking out of your kids' mouths. Period. And two, I ain't lay down with you. I lay down with him. And why is it again that society's okay with me struggling, but the moment that it begins to be reciprocated and child support come after your pocket, now you mad. But you laid down of your own volition and had these kids. You left our home. You left your children. So when me as a person says, I don't want to get child support involved, I need you to give me some type of construct, like some consistency. But when you don't want to give me that, and mind you, y'all, I asked for this consistency when we broke up last year. That's when I asked for this consistency. Yeah, we broke up in July of last year. It's June of this year. We almost at a year, and I've not got this consistency yet. So for me, I don't think it's fair that men will say, oh, well, so you're going to join child support and they just going to take everything and da. But when we as women try to work with you, you try to pull the okie doke, and then you get mad when we be like, okay, cool. Since you want to pull the okie doke, I'm gonna pull the okie doke. Got choked. I'm going to the child support papers, and child support enforcement gonna handle it for me. Since you don't want to.
So what do you guys think out there? For the ones who just joining us, we're talking about custody, child support, visitation rights. Please join into the discussion. Put your comments in the chat, and we'll respond to what you're asking or your statement. If you would like to join the live, you can hit the invite button, and we'll invite you on as well. I would get child support involved. I would not care what he says, is what Sharice is saying. Well, my thing is, if he isn't willing to come to the table and do something that he needs to do in that child support space, I would get the courts involved too. I think sometimes, and for whatever reason, by all means, people can do as they please, but I don't think it's always the go-to as the first thing to get the courts involved.
And that's what I think too. I think more often than not, a lot of the times, it's either something that you've had to do or something that you're forced to do. Because I know when divorce is happening, a lot of the times it's lumped into the divorce proceedings. Like it's just in there, and you're just kind of stuck with it either way. But a lot of the times, almost every person I talk to, this is their, myself included, this is like the last straw. Like, bro, I've tried to come to you. I've tried to tell you things that I need. I've tried to, because his response at one point was, well, if you don't tell me, how am I supposed to know? And my response was, I got to tell you that the kids you just left 2 months ago still eat that way and eat more, and that they still shit, sleep, and eat. I gotta tell you that. I gotta tell you that your son, who is 7 months old, need diapers. I gotta tell you that your son, who is 23 months old, need diapers. I gotta tell you that your daughter, who is 6, needs food. I gotta tell you they need clothes. Like, what? Like, the same stuff they needed while you was here is the same stuff they need now that you're not in the house. Like, I don't. That defense is asinine to me. Because now, could I give you a amount? 100%. But to sit here and tell me, oh, you need to tell me they need. Huh? They needed when you was here.
I know with the situation with my dad, you know, we were going through child support, but he called me and when he got the papers and he was like, hey, what do you think about us just doing an agreement? I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I don't think the court has to always be involved. And the only reason why, because he lives in Texas and I didn't even really know how to reach out to him. And then once I finally reached out to him, you know, they reached out to him for me with his information. He called me and we were able to, because I just don't believe that we already got our men set up in the system. So whatever we can do as people to unite and just make sure our men are covered in a way in which they don't have to have their license suspended if they fall behind or get locked up or whatever that looks like from a child support perspective. But I do believe that at times, if they're not doing anything, yeah, because the children have to eat and they have to be taken care of. But I also go back to what that looks like as far as that man in that situation, because there's a lot of women out here have babies by hustlers. And I don't know what the court gonna be able to do. They can't go on the corner and get no money for them and say, hey, when you make your next sale, I need you to give her $20.
I need you to run these. I need you to run her a stack for all you owe.
My thing is, right, you knew what you was getting yourself into. You knew what you had as far as the man that you laid down and got pregnant by. Yeah. I just don't understand how you take a person like that to court knowing what he do, because if he wasn't doing it in the beginning, he's not going to do it now. Hopefully he will, but most times they just not. And they have the mentality of of a street mentality that just, hey, when the law catch up with me, it is what it is.
To All Eyes on Q's point, I
And let's
apparently
read
misspoke.
some of the comments, and so we can get some dialogue.
That's what I was about to say. To All Eyes on Q's point, he says it doesn't have to be court ordered child support in a divorce, just agreed upon parenting plan. I did know about the parenting plan portion. The three people that I know who have been divorced, 2 here in Georgia, 1 in Oklahoma, did say to me that they mandated child support. I don't know. But that's what was told to me. So clearly I ain't been married to have been divorced. So I don't know in person. Nicole says that should be child support and spousal support for what they are accustomed to. I know some states do spousal support. And then All Eyes on Q did say, did he just come home with diapers and food without you telling him these things when he lived here? Yes. Fact is, no, he doesn't know what things are low. Shit, I don't even know when I need food in my kitchen now. And that's an understandable thing. My thought process is when you lived here, I didn't have to tell you our kids needed diapers. I didn't have to tell you our kids needed wipes. I didn't have to tell you our kids needed milk. I didn't have to tell you our kids needed noodles, cereal, You knew these things because yes, you are in the environment. The need for that doesn't change just because you are no longer in the home. So in my opinion, if I have not said something to you, that need doesn't change. You can still hit me, hey, do y'all need this? Hey, do you need that? Hey, do you need, because I can only go according to what I know I would do. If roles are reversed and you have my children, and that may just be the mothering instinct, I don't know. But if roles were reversed and you have my children, and after a month you ain't hit me and asked me for nothing, I'm gonna be like, hey, does the daycare need diapers? Do you need diapers? Did y'all still get formula? Like, I'm going to ask you about the condition of my children. Period.
Hey, so hold tight because we had a couple of people join. Hey guys, so just want to make sure you're aware. So we're talking about child support, visitation, custody. Should the courts be involved? Should they not? What does that look like? Do men get a fair rap? Why does it always default to the woman? We would love to hear from you guys. So definitely put your comments in the chat and we will respond. But go ahead.
And I know if anyone were to wonder where we kind of sit on it, we sit in like this. I know I can speak for myself. I sit in this spectrum of ideally try to work these things out with each other, communicate, sit down, have that compromise. And if it takes a tough conversation, take those tough conversations, but also try to take those tough conversations with your emotions out of it. Your emotions are not going to actually fix the problem. You got to take that out. You got to be black and white about the situation for me. But if you have tried to get with your previous partner and things are just not working out, they ain't coming through, they ain't Now, in my opinion, the last straw should be going to the courts. That's the last straw to me. But that's after you try to exhaust all the other options that you have. I'm not one who agrees with the court being in their business. I don't want the court in my business. Personally, I ain't even doing nothing off cuff, but I don't want the court in my business either. And that just is what it is for me. But and I know not a lot of the times me in personal conversations and here in front of you all, me and Amanda have agreed on a lot. Like I have agreed on that being one of the main things. Like once you've gone through everything, then you have to. Because at the end of the day, the number one thing that is the most important that should be important for the mom and the dad should be these kids. You team your kids regardless. And that's just my opinion on things. I know me and Amanda I don't want to speak for her, but I know we have agreed a lot of the times on that process itself. But And y'all, I do know your actual names, but I'm trying to make sure I use your Twitter handle, your Instagram handle, so if people want to follow you because you have such intellectual and enlightening perspectives, they do. So, All Eyes on Q says, I had custody of my 3 kids after my first divorce. She ain't give me shit or them shit, and definitely didn't ask if we were good. She's trash, but we know how I feel about that. Anyway,
But it's crazy though that he states that because Kim mentioned that same thing, that when or something in that ramification, that when her dude's daughter was staying with him, the father, he was still paying child support to the mom. So it's funny that you say that. I mean, and Q, because I think it's just the system and the way that the system is set up.
I was about to say it is, because I've sat in that as well. My ex, when we had his oldest son, he was still paying child support, and the son was in the house with us. I'm fixing dinners for this boy every day. And when I know when I said the conversation of, hey, have you talked to her about, sending us the child support money back, or at least stopping child support, or her paying us child support. As soon as that conversation came up, when I tell you, mama was like, oh, give me back my son, and you a weak dude because you need child support. And I'm sitting here like, was you a weak woman for needing child support? The $150 every 2 weeks going on.
Yeah, that's what she was saying. He should have went back and got the modification to get it stopped. But now she's back with the mom. And so what I want to know from you, Southern Maid, is because, again, we talked about stability, finances, mindset. Would you be okay? Let's just say he goes to court and he says, well, I just rather them come stay with me. And like you said, this person that you knew, even if a woman says, I can't do this right now, and that person says, okay, they can come live with me. Mm-hmm. But from experience, knowing what that looks like as far as the way they move and the way they do things, I go back to say, is dad the right place for them to go, considering what the situation may look like? Because we want the default to be dad, but what if dad, that may not be the best thing for the kids. Dad may not be stable. He may not be financially fit. So what do we do with our kids at that point? What happens?
I know for me, so legally, all of my children are mine. I don't have to legally share them with him if I don't feel like it, right? Me doing that is a grace. Now, eventually he is responsible for them, but he is not having legal say-so over what happens to them while I'm here. Now, I have had papers drawn up that say I am unable by physically, like mentally, so hospital, I can't do anything. There's a plan for that. There's a plan for if I die. There's a plan for if I'm in a mental institution or something like that. If I am unable to do my motherly duties, there's a actual plan of succession that happens for my children, because he hasn't asserted any of his legal rights. Now he has every legal right to go back and do those things, but there is a plan in place for while that is fighting. The plan for while that is fighting is whichever parent I am physically in closest proximity to will have temporary custody of my children until the person who is their legal guardian gets to them and can get them. That legal guardian lives in Oklahoma. She knows who she is. She signed paperwork to that fact. She knows if something happens to me, that is the thing. My medical decisions have to be made by my dad. My financial decisions are made by my mother. I kept it that way so they can both stay objective in what they are doing. There is a plan of succession for my children. I did that I did that while we were engaged, and I did that knowing that we weren't married yet, and I wanted to make sure that just in case something happened, everything was fine. Would I hope that it will be him and he will be in a great place? That's the hope, that's the goal, that's the dream. But I'm also realistic. So I think that whenever you do have children with somebody, like you said, you know who you had kids with. You know who you laid down with. And if that come back to be an L, you got to take that L and you got to move forward.
Let's read some of the comments and see what's going on so we can respond to some of that.
Yes. So we left at the at the modification part, because when I tell you I was fighting for that modification,
yeah.
It says it's the system for the default to be the mother having custody, and he had to go get the child legitimized in order to stop the child support payments, and he still was ordered to pay the state to pay the state.
It's really important for that legitimization piece,
especially in a state that does not automatically give legal rights, because like I said, in Oklahoma that's not the case. Once you sign that child support, once you sign that birth certificate, that dad has rights unless he gets something changed or unless he has reasons of why he can't. T-Pain said there are women who are stable and can't take care of their who aren't, there's changing that at the end, who aren't stable and can't take care of their kids, just like some men can't, but they still have all their rights, which is exactly what started off my point. The system that a lot of people are so upset about for the longest amount of time has been run by men. It has not been run by women. I know there's this little TikTok trend that says that there was this lady going off on this man about the men have been doing most of the raping and the pillaging and the subjugation of entire civilizations and the servitude. Like, she goes down this litany of things that men have done but love to blame women for. And I think that this system is a part of that. This family court system is a part of that. A lot of the times I've seen amazing dads. The person who's commenting this is one of them. I've seen amazing dads who should have their children, whose children want to be with them, but the system isn't on their side to have that. I have a friend who fought for 5 years to have his children and eventually got them. I have a friend who is currently still is paying a lawyer to be able to find the mother of his children that he's paying child support to, but he can't find her because they're saying paying child support in a whole nother state. It's up and left. He can't find her. So I think that a lot of the times we need to really evaluate what's going on in this system and really get to changing it to be fair to everyone involved.
But I guess in his statement, why is it that the women still have their rights, whereas if the men if he was not able to take care of his kids, then his rights in some sense are looked at kind of differently.
Might be taken away, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It's the
but
system.
The woman, that didn't necessarily happen so fast for a woman.
Do you know how difficult it is? You can have a lot of proof, but more often than not, most courts are still not going to take away most women's rights, even though their rights should be. They'll take that from 50% from 100% to 50%. That 50% will be dropped in the mandatory visitations. That mandatory visitation may be dropped to mandatory supervised visitation. It takes a long time, even if the man is the better parent, for that system to say, okay, well, you can have them. It takes a long time. And there are men out there who deserve and should be the primary parent of their children because they're the better parent. Not just financially, they're financially better, they're more mentally stable, they're more loving, they're more caring, they're more understanding, they're more involved. They should have that place, but because the system that we work under, they don't. Because I hate that thought process that society has that, oh, well, since she's the mother, she's better. That's not what that didn't even mothers and hate their kids and resent their kids. So I really think about that. But Keisha Cush says, I have a friend that had her baby daddy on child support, and he went to court and asked for joint custody. It was granted, but he took the kids during a visit and took them to New Orleans, and she can't get them back. And she hired a lawyer and even went back to the judge, and he still had them. that can't happen. And that's why I have my plan the way I have my plan. That there's definitive people who do and do not have say if I am not available, if I cannot be gotten. So even right now, if I have to go to a work convention at the end of the month, if something happens to my son while I'm not here, his dad has no say in what happens to him. The first immediate person that they're going to look at, according to my plan, is my mother. That is it.
But I guess if in Keisha's case with her friend, even with a plan in place, if he skips and run off with the kids,
then
immediately there's a plan in place. But I mean, the system still has to be the system in order for that plan to.
The only way he's able to get away with that is because they drop down to joint custody. That's why. If she'd have had primary custody of that child and he'd have took that child and not returned that child, then she would have had would have had every legal ramification to sue that to have him arrested for kidnapping. But because they have joint custody, he and his attorney can argue, well, it's 50% of his time. He's just using some of his 50% of the time.
So then it goes back to what you said at the beginning. Then why is the mother the default? And because it goes back to, okay, if he runs off, he's equally the parent without the court ever being involved. Why isn't he can't do that? And it goes back to, like you were saying, if the mother is always the default, why is the father not the default? But soon as if he don't have joint custody, then a plan supposed to kick in because she's the default. So that's like, again, the system is so screwed up in my mind, because there again, if he leaves and he didn't have joint custody, he still should, like 2K said, have those rights.
He should. And that's what I'm saying. The system is so messed up and so woman leading that it begins to not make sense on itself. Like, that's is completely ridiculous. And the fact that I like reading it, I can their attorney could poke holes in this because the system has got it so messed up. It's so messed up. Like, it baffles me. And that's a part of why I do that's a part of why I want to do what I want to do, because the system is completely and utterly just on its head. Anyway, all eyes on Q said, so I so am I to understand that this man has no rights to these kids, and you had the address to address this with him, but you expect him to conduct himself as what? As if he has full rights? No, ma'am. No, he has what Georgia describes as financial rights to his children and financial responsibility to his children. He does not have any legal rights to his children. Paperwork to have those legal rights. I would not contest those rights. He has chosen to have those rights.
So when he does the custody part, not custody, the child support part, it aligns him for you now. I'm not talking about the court because I don't really know how a lot of that works, because I haven't had to go through a lot of that. But so for you, as long as he does child support, all of his rights falls in place. But if he doesn't, they aren't.
So his rights legally, regardless of how I feel or not, his rights are his rights. I have nothing to say about. I have no say so in that. My plan is my plan. If you're paying your child support, if you're not paying your child support, I don't give a shit. The plan is the plan, because you haven't done the steps to actually do it. You haven't taken the steps to actually be responsible for that. You have not chosen to do that. It's nothing that I'm telling you can't do. Matt, with our first son, I reminded him because in Georgia for 6 months you can do it. You just like filling out paperwork, and then that's it. You don't have to go to court. You don't have to have a court date. You can just, he fill out paper, I fill out paper, that's it. Right? And then you do it for free. After 6 months, though, you have to go fully through the court system. It's not just a David you can sign. You have to go fully through the court system and pay for the proceedings and all of that after 6 months. That entire 6 months, hey baby, don't forget we got to go do this. Hey baby, don't forget we got to do that. Hey baby, don't forget to go legitimize Christian. Hey baby, don't forget to go do this. Hey baby, don't do that. Every 6 that entire 6 months, even after the year. Hey, we need to go down to the courts. Cost for us to legitimize Christian. I'm saying, hey, do it. Even with Aiden, same thing. Hey baby, not hey baby, but hey dude, don't forget. Da, 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 da. Hey dude, don't forget. Da, da, da. Hey, let's go down there. Da, 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 da. Let's see how much it costs. Da, 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 da. Aiden's 7 months old now, so now we have to pay the cost. We have to pay the cost. We would have to pay, because I have to pay my portion too. But it's not that I'm not asking you to have your rights, but I know since you have not taken your rights, I have to have a plan of action to protect me and my children.
So Keisha says, also he moved them in with a girl he met on Facebook, had known her for a week. And see, I guess that goes back to what I was saying, is knowing who you are being involved with and knowing that, is it really, I guess it's just a catch-22 on, like Quaylen says, you know how you avoid getting fucked by the court, stay your ass out of court. Which
And
means,
that is a catch-22.
Right, you have to be really careful about that, because that can open up some doors where it could be successful and rewarding, but I also think it can ignite a whole lot of headaches that really, unfortunately, you don't want to have to deal with.
The court can take it farther than you go. The court can take it farther than you ever want to go. And like I said at the beginning of this discussion, ideally, you want to just be able to sit down with the person who you lay down with and say, hey, what plan do you want to come up with? Ideally, that would be what you should be able to do. Sit down, have an adult conversation. Even if it's difficult, have it. Come to an agreement. Move on. Because you can go take a paper. You can go take you can go fill out a paper and get it notarized and notarized by the court, and that's a legal binding document. Like, if you decide to not do that, I can take you to court, because that's a legal binding document. So you should be able to not necessarily have to get the court involved, but make up come to an agreement to this plan being your plan and sticking with that. That's ideally what anybody should want to do. I know that's ideally what I want to do, but you tie somebody's hands and put them in a catch-22 situation when one party just does not want to do, and the other is trying their best to do what they got to do, to do what they can. And at the end of the day, the only people that are the people getting hurt the most are the kids. So why not do the most amicable thing and just sit down and agree and come to a compromise? Because I think that people hear this compromise word and they're like, oh, well, I got to lose. I don't want to lose. And it's just like, not every time is a compromise you losing something that you wanted.
Yeah. So Keisha was saying that she went down there to show the judge her paperwork, and he denied to see it because the judge already ruled on it, and they locked her up for harassing the stranger that has her kids.
Yes.
That is so true about taking kids from the mom, even if she's on crack. Yeah, it takes a long time for them to really pull a child out of the home from the mom. Sorry, y'all, I was talking fast. That's okay. Right, thank you. No man should ever allow a case to close without joint custody. So why didn't the lawyer tell her that? At Keisha, because if he pays child support, he's allowed joint custody. Okay, now with that part of it being stated, I'm gonna come back to Southern Maid. So if he's paying child support, he's allowed joint custody. So there again, it goes back to what I was saying was, is that okay with those type of situations? Because sometimes women just really, to be honest, and I'm just gonna keep it all the way transparent, they just want these men to pay child support. That's what they want.
Right.
That joint custody foolishness, they don't really want that to happen. They don't really want that to happen.
Exactly.
And so when you open that door, are you truly ready? And I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about women in general. And of course, you can chime in because I wanted you to lead this session. Are women really ready for that?
I feel like sometimes women are and sometimes women aren't. So I feel like it depends on the woman. It depends on the relationship that they had, and it depends on where they're at in their healing journey, I think. So I know for me, would I love the thought process of joint custody? No, I wouldn't. Only because I know who I lay down with. I know that this person will say they'll do one thing but not actually do it. So I know that there will be times if we had joint custody, he'd be like, "Oh well, I'm going now. I actually made plans. So can you take him this weekend? Oh well, I actually did this. Can you do this?" And it's just like, if you ain't gonna use your parenting time, my G, you might as well not. But I know in the long run, it will probably be better for our children. So would I have to, shut that up and deal with it and bite it for a little bit until we get to a more consistent, concise place? Yeah, I know that's me. That's me, and it's also because I've seen it. I have an example of what that like. So it's easier for me to wrap my head around. Okay, the light will be at the end of the tunnel one day. The light will be at the end of the tunnel one day. That's me. Not every woman is like that. Some women, like you said, just want the money.
Yeah, like two Kings are saying, child support is a slippery slope. It's a hard conversation because if I can't see my kids or have no say, then why you want my money? And I totally agree to that. I see that happen a lot. And then
On
when
both sides.
they won't, like I just said, they want the child support, but they're not really ready for men to say, well, just send them over here with me. Or I have joint custody and you have them half of the school year and I have them the off season, or you have them 6 months and I have them 6 months. Most women really aren't truly ready for that, but yet they do want the child support. And I think that's where it becomes unfair on both parties. Like you said, default mom. But I think the system has really set men up where um, it hasn't been favorable a lot of times on their
No,
side.
but think about when this system was instituted. Think about what men was out there doing, when women was out there doing. Women was at home. Women was being homemakers. Women was making the at home thing work. Women weren't in the workforce. Women weren't missing out on work to do different things for their family. So it was defaulted that it would, of course, it'd be them that take care of the kids, and of course it'd just be the man who can pay the money, bring home the bacon, and not worry about his responsibility because that's what he was doing anyway. A lot of times people have been single mothers while being married and not even understand that concept that you doing everything under that roof, but getting the paycheck to pay them bills. But the system, all the system did was put that into perspective. It would say, okay, well, let's just make that the law. Is that fair? No. Like I said, I think there are men out there who are some phenomenal fathers who should have their children, who
Um,
should have them.
I remember Teresa saying there's some phenomenal fathers in this family, but I do know some awesome, men outside of our family. That we have a lot of good men in our family as it relates to taking care of their kids and being actively engaged in all of that, and I applaud them. But I also know quite a few guys that are in that same space. Our eyes on me. Says, I'm to my eyes on me. Our eyes on Q says to 2K, exactly, it's like paying for a car and not allowed to drive it. And 2K said to Keisha, what she mentioned earlier about it destroys a man's, I think she said figures or something like that. And his response to that was true, but most men destroy themselves by pride and ego. And I agree to that. Men have a lot of pride and ego when it comes to a lot of things. A lot of things. Even outside of this. And I think there is a time when we have to move in a space where men are allowed to be vulnerable. Um, it's okay to show your humility. But I think a lot of times that pride and ego is the way a lot of times people were reared or what are learned behavior.
True. Um,
He said, "Who raised it?" Go ahead. I'll let you pick up from there.
okay, but he says who raised this man? Only God knows. He also said one woman started out getting, good God damn, sorry, $7,500 a month in child support, but after she kept going back seeking changes, the judge dropped that shit to $1,500 for 2 kids, 3 kids. I'm sorry.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
A lot of money. Good God damn. Some people don't see a blessing when they got it. Just take the blessing, let that man see his kids, and move on. Stop trying to get everything out of somebody. Anyway, what reason would a woman fight against the father having joint custody? There's a good chunk of reasons that some people would fight if they're fighting in earnest, if they're fighting because of like the protection of their child. Now, some women is just out here spiteful as fuck.
That's right. That's right.
Because they can't be with you. Can't nobody be with you, and you can't have none of that. Some
Them
women is just
around nobody else, like somebody was saying on here. I don't want around the next woman or whatever that looks like. It's a lot of women that just again they just want the money.
Everybody say, but some women do if dude is a trapper and he out here doing some dangerous shit. That's a reason to not want your children around that dad, because it's dangerous. Not because he's dangerous, what he's doing may be dangerous. People he may associate with may be dangerous, and your kids may get caught in the crossfire, and that's not something we can handle. If you know dad is out here being reckless as shit, you might just not want your kids around that. If you know that he's not going to take care of them, that he's just gonna, three square and that's it. If they're crying, he don't care. If he's not going to get in their clothes, if he's not showing up to parent-teacher conferences, if my child is failing and there's nothing you are helping to do with them, that's a reason the mom might be like, you know what, this may not be the best situation. So there are reasons that both sides could be like, nah, we may need to talk this shit through. So it's not just, and I hate that we sometimes keep this going. It becomes sometimes a man versus a woman perspective. And that, in my opinion, is what the system wants. It wants for this fight, this push and pull to always happen, instead of actually fostering, like we talk about, the criminal justice system doesn't actually try to foster reforming somebody. They try to foster, just getting them to pay their debt to society and moving on. And they don't care how this person comes out. I feel like the family service system does the same thing. They don't really care about what actually goes, like they don't care about what actually goes on with these kids a lot of the times. I feel some do, some don't, but they hide behind what they feel is best for the child, no matter how stereotypically right or wrong that may be.
But I guess I go back to, and we're going to read these comments and wrap it up. I think it goes back to, if we know what type of man that we have as these kids' fathers, and they're out there, like you said, reckless and hustling, and kids' lives can be in danger. We know this, so why not try to figure out a way or plan really hard to ensure that they do what they need to do financially for them, instead of bringing in the courts, because somebody along the way is going to say at some point, hey, if you're doing child support, then you would want to have or implement your rights as custody, and then what? So sometimes we have to make sure we're ready for all of this, because if we want their money, we got to be okay with that custody. And if they fight it, no matter if they're hustler or not, judge more than likely is going to grant that.
And again, that's why I say you need to use all of your avenues before trying to automatically go to a court.
Right.
Try it. Try talking to it. Try communicating. Now, if the person just does not want to communicate with you, you can't force a person to talk to you. As much as we would like to say we can't force a person to say anything or force a person to feel away. But if you've just been like, oh, well, we broke up, I'm going to child support tomorrow. Like, you didn't try to have any type of conversation, that's messed up. But if after time, you're just not getting anywhere, you're in the exact same spot 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, and you've been doing this on your own, and you need help, and that man ain't helping, at some point, there is something that can be said, and I feel like it goes on both sides as well, because you can get joint custody, but if you don't use that custody, and they show you don't use that parenting time, that parent can then go back on a man. A man can do it too. Can then go back and say, "Well, here's proof this person don't use this time. They don't need joint custody." And more often than not, a judge will say, "Well, you ain't using it. They right. You don't use it, you lose it." And that does become a thing. You can get that joint custody taken back.
Right. And I guess my thing to that is, do a person want to continue to stay in the courts just because, even though they got the custody rights, but you're not utilizing them? What makes a woman say, well, okay, I'm just going to take you back to court because you're not using them, and take them away? If you use them, you use them. If you don't, you don't. Because I'm not going to force you, and this is me, to do what you know is right with your kids and be a part of their life, when really, if you're going to do the right thing and have them right in mind, I shouldn't have to force you and take you back to court. I should have never had to take you to court to even get you to have custody or your rights. You as a man tells me about your character and who you are if I even have to take those steps. So I wouldn't even want to deal with it. I just have to suck it up and do what I need to do.
You also need to think about the same woman we was just talking about who wants the money. Some of those women do that as well, because guess what? Parenting time is child support costs. And if you aren't using your parenting time, your child support costs can go up. So joint custody could get you $1,500. You being the primary parent and them having visitation can get you 250. I mean, 250 to get you $2,500. So there are people who will do it for that. There are some people who will do it because it's truly affecting the child, not seeing their parent. Because I know in some states, so say the example is y'all have a meeting location. Y'all have a in-between meeting location. Say our meeting location is Walmart, right? If I bring my child to Walmart and you are not there, and I call and you don't answer, and I call and you don't come, and we stay there for a while and you still don't come, if I can show you, and my child is with me, how long are you going to be able to notice that this is hurtful to your child before you be like, nah, bro, I'm not going to do this shit?
Right. And I'm not taking you back to court. I'm just never calling you again.
But think about,
I'm not. I mean, that's just me.
Yourself well. You got to think about how you got to protect yourself as well, because let you not come that one time, he go to court and say, you're keeping the child from him.
But you've already put your plan in place and got your things to show. Let's say he does that. So now he's taking you to court. So it's his efforts. And so my thing is, if you, like you said, you're documenting and you're putting yourself in a position to win whenever he goes back to court. I guess in my mind, I'm trying to think of, like he said, what woman will want to fight your custody. I'm trying to think of what woman want to stay in the court systems. I'm like, what is that about? I guess that's what I'm not wrapping my mind around that. What is that about?
Some people use the court system for their benefit, and some people know how to use the court system for their benefit, and some people don't. And I feel like fair,
go ahead,
and to be honest, both sides need to be well abreast about what can go on and how to maneuver. The moment that's with, but the moment you actually put yourself in it, you need to know how to protect yourself. You need to know how to protect your kids and their best interest. And that goes on either side. Do I feel like you should be in the system, go to the courts at all? No, you have to. But that's not always the case. That's not always what is afforded to everyone. I feel like if you are put into that place and put into that system, put into that situation, know how to protect yourself. It's just like if you get into the entertainment industry, it's the same thing. And I feel like we forget that is a thing. If you get into a new industry, you need to know the ins and out of this industry. You need to be up on, it's like musicians who got this deal and signed this horrible deal and now they're bankrupt because they never did the research on how to protect themselves on the back end. You didn't know to cover your publishing. You didn't know to try to fight for your match. You didn't know to try to not have your money come out to a certain show to make that.
Yeah, and that makes sense from a perspective of you're covering your financial assets. But I guess when we talk about these men and these rights, I don't want to force no man to do nothing for my kids, and that's just me. I just rather do me and for my kids as opposed to have to keep taking you to court. Because now in my mind, it seems like I'm forcing you to do what you know is right to do. And when you, even if, like how we talked about men being in a home and a marriage and not necessarily being active, you're just there. I can force you all day long to get custody rights, and you can follow. You can follow that order. But when I get my kids, when he get the kids for that weekend or whatever that looks like, and he drops them off every time to his sister house or to his mom's house, and he's still not spending time with the kids, he just honored his week or whatever that looks like, or his time, but he's not actively involved. What good does that do them? It's just a court order. It's just a court order.
And I get it. I just feel like a lot of the time, like I said this earlier in this conversation, we look at things so emotionally that we don't look at things logically or tactily. And unfortunately, when dealing in this system, I feel like you have to look at both. Fortunately.
All right, so we're going to read these things and wrap up. So, but co-parenting will always require compromise. I agree. What happens when you need to switch a weekend or a holiday? And then Toucan said, at our eyes on cue, control and being spiteful. I agree. Okay, so I was wrong. She said she was full custody, not joint, and he still took them and has them now. See, that's what I was saying.
That's kidnapping.
It's a system process. The system is so broken. And people move around. One, we have to understand the jurisdictions of what's in another state or what's in another country,
and that's what I was about to say.
Looks like.
You got to get the judge here in the wherever she's at. That court needs to issue an arrest warrant. Yeah. She can't go to the state where he's at now. She has to go to the court she's in and have that court issue an arrest warrant, because that is kidnapping. If he is refusing to bring those kids back, that is kidnapping.
Yeah, she said it's painful. I'm sure it is. Wow, it seems like she can simply take a contempt warrant out, and I'm sure she can. But it's a matter of taking the warrant and then us finding you, and arresting you and getting the kids. And a lot of times people know how to stay up under the radar. She hired 2 lawyers, took them to New Orleans, and the judge said each time
he wouldn't touch that
because we just said that and hadn't even gotten to this statement. Georgia judge has already ruled. She went through a lot to get them back. Raising kids are hard as fuck. I agree. By mom, and that was my point at some point. It's hard as a mom, and I know men are superb men, awesome, superior when they take that on and do that themselves. So that's why I say, as women, you gotta know that sometimes we gotta suck that up from a child support and the custody right thing when we don't have those superb men with that stable mindset that has that parental intuition, because not all men are built like that. And I would never want to put my kids in a situation just because I want you to honor the fact that we had these kids together, so we're going to do this together. If you're not that stable-minded, financially, mentally sound dad, I promise you I'd rather take the L and let you walk away. And I just have to do it by myself.
Some people do that, and some people don't want to. I feel like most sides have, I'll say that, have valid reasonings as to why they do what they do. And I can see each one's position feel like you need to take whatever position works best for you and your situation and stand 10 toes in that, because he said raising a kid is hard. I would rather be the non-custodial parent any day. I've been the custodial parent, but I don't know if I could do that shit as a single parent. Shit's fucking horrible.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah. It's tough.
hard. It's tough as shit, but it's possible. I do it every day. She said, okay, yep. That's what that's what I meant by destroy a man's figure. Okay. But joint custody isn't just me getting time, but shouldn't that be part of the choices like education, healthcare? Yes, they should. And with joint custody, my opinion on my kid's life matter. Yes, it should. And I know for me, I've included that. Like, I told his girlfriend today, because I met her today. She's a lovely person. She's great. She has 3 children of her own. She's great. I told her today that regardless of wherever me and him are, wherever me and him emotionally got to grow to be able to be, or to be cool on that front, I am always going to be Team Wilson. I'm going to be Team ICA, period. My pride got to get killed in the process. That's just what that's got to mean. Because at the end of the day, him being in their lives means more to me than anything else. And if that means, there are times where my affected and I got to take that L, say what I have to say, and then let my kids be with their other parent. That's what that is. And that's what happened today.
Yeah.
But ideally, we should be able to say, all right, this is what we doing. This is how we doing it. This is how we moving. This is what we agree on. Okay, cool. I would love that. Where we are right now, both parents don't want that. One parent wants it their way in particular, and one parent is willing to compromise. And that's not neither point of that works. Keisha tells I like you 100%. That's some petty shit.
Not sure what we were responding to on that one.
Sometimes it is. She said, he also said, and this is what I agree on, a nigga that ain't showing up to Walmart ain't making the effort to go to court.
That's right. Absolutely. I agree. That's why I say I don't know if I necessarily want to keep running back to the courts, but that's, like you said, that's neither here nor there.
I also believe that pussy will make you act like something you not. Because I done seen a couple of niggas, when they get a girlfriend, now they want to be dad. Now they want to be super dad. Now they want to try to take the kids, want to see the kids. Do this with the kids. Can I have my kids for the holidays? Can I have my kids on the weekend? Let that nigga get away from that bitch and let them stop, or let her not stop. Let her stop being around. You ghost now.
Yeah.
Niggas do it.
And
I think niggas fight why they got a girl, but as soon as that girl is gone, oh, you stop making court appearances. Oh, now you want to be civil. Now you want to try to agree on doing something. Now you don't mind paying the extra child support because now it's a little hard on my grind. I'm back to my. Now it's different. Pussy will make a nigga do some stupid shit that he don't want.
So at Nicole 74788 stated at Amanda, I agree. I worked 2 jobs until I got married because I refused to deal with my baby daddy in court. That fool said, fuck her and them kids. Exactly. What a way to close out. Exactly.
Somebody say her kids ain't did nothing to me. Right. Or my kids.
Right. If he ain't paying for his kids, he has no business dating a woman with kids. That's right. And I've always, and I'm going to say this, I've never dated a man that, I can't make you do nothing, but I've never dated a man that I did not encourage you to do right by your kids. Because my thing is, I don't see how you can do right by me and mine in the long run if you ain't even doing right by your own. But that's just my mindset. That's just me.
I will say, when I talked to her today, she has been trying to get him to, hey, have you talked to your kids? Because she's like, I heard, doesn't he call Isabel on her iPad? I was like, nah, I can show you the call log, sweetheart. That ain't how that works. Nope. And then you could tell that 2 different stories, and we eventually had a conversation. 2 different stories has been being told, and it was something that I knew, but to have that be knowledge now, like that's factual. I can tell, like I know this is what he told you, this is what he told me, these are the lies and inconsistencies in both. But she has, according to her, I am not there, I am not God. I don't know if it's true or not, But according to her, she has been trying to get him to try harder to be in his children's lives. And I told her, hey, your efforts as great, take it back. I know her efforts as great as they are. That man's only gonna do what he wanted. And I told her,
Yeah.
I was like, he would rather play stepdaddy for your kids than attempt to help me be the parent he's supposed to be for his own, because the work that he would have to do for mine is a lot harder than the work you have to do for yours.
Yeah. I love what Craven said, and we're going to close out on this one, and then we'll circle back with another subject tied into this for next Sunday. He says, since my first divorce, I haven't dated a woman seriously that had kids because I felt some way giving time to another kid that I wasn't able to. Agreed. I don't know why that I guess it's being mature, being grown, looking at your situation and knowing what you want in your life and how you want to apply that going forward in their future, and not making some of the same repetitive mistakes. He says, stop giving him pussy. That's the effort. And I agree. So, guys, I say today has been an amazing conversation, right? I think that's what happens. I agree to that. I think a lot of that be lingering because folks still be laying up with their baby daddy or their baby mama. But like I said, we'll double back
And I
with that
can't relate.
conversation. That's another hour conversation.
But
So,
that's next
guys,
topic.
thank you so much for joining. We really appreciate it. Very good dialogue here on today. We really appreciate you. There's a lot of amazing people out there. If you aren't one, become one. And Southern Maine, it is on you.
Please remember that life is not a dress rehearsal, but it is your final performance. So go out there and live each day like your last. Guys, we really, really, really appreciate you guys coming and checking in on us every week. We love seeing you, hearing you, reading about you. It's great. Also, remember, we have social media handles like the one you're on now, like Instagram. We got a Facebook. I saw a man that had a little tiki-taki going on. I have a tiki-taki going on. So do not forget to reach out to us on those social medias if you have anything that you want us to talk about. And also, we love to just say hi. We love that. We're hospitable people. We're good Southern girls. We like to say, hey, how you doing, boo? Yeah. So we will see you back here next week, 7 o'clock. Don't forget, Father's Day is coming up. And if you did not, and if you caught the end of this, like a lot of our girls be getting it, a lot of our dudes be getting it, if you caught the end but you want to get caught up, we are on Apple Podcasts. We're on iHeartRadio. We are on Spotify. Look us up because we're there. We will see you guys later. We love you.
Guys, so we probably won't be here next Sunday because, like you said, it's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you guys. But we will definitely, I'm glad you said that. We'll circle back. Why do women like men in relationships topic? Let's do that. I got an amazing conversation that I want to have, guys. We will send out a flyer. When we send out a flyer, guys, please tag and share with your audience so we can grow this dialogue conversation. Have an amazing week, guys. We love you.